Hello and welcome to yet another wonderful episode of Fellowship of the Golden Age. And today I have a wonderful man sitting opposite me in another part of the world. This is Noah.
Yes, thank you, Neptune. Nice being here.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you today and learning a bit more about you in this lovely format. And I know that other people will be just as keen to listen to you as well. So,
Yeah.
right. All right. So we're just going to start off right now because the theme of this series is separate selves. And I think it's good to just start off because separate self weaves into all aspects of our lives. So I thought it'd be good if, Noah, if we could start off, if you could just give a universal description of how you would interpret, like how you would describe a separate self. Could you do that for us, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I still find it a little bit difficult to really explain what a separate self is. Because a set of masters say that they have given us a formula and that you can identify separate selves. And I think how I see it is it's like a pattern of behavior or emotions. So you have a certain reaction to certain situations, and it's based on a certain belief. So that's how I see it, and it's external to you. So what I have learned to do with the teachings is, if I'm in a certain situation, I try to step back. So be aware that I am here and what is happening inside of me. So I see it as beings, maybe beings inside my four lower bodies or inside my emotional or mental or identity body, and it has a momentum. It has a certain desire to exist, to stay there, and to come back. Yes, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And a part of what brings us together, the people who are participating in these interviews, is our goal is to let each of these separate selves die one by one. And by identifying them in the way you described, and then go through that process of, because it's like it's a living being inside ourselves.
Yes. I can remember a teaching from Gautama Buddha about it, and that kind of clicked a little bit in me. And he said it was with a New Year's Eve dictation, but he said, like, you can compare it to beasts in your four lower bodies, but I have really I was searching in all the teachings about separate selves, and so it started with the Mahachohan about spirits, and that they have a certain survival instinct, but also what makes it complicated for me is that you have genuine separate selves. For example, like if you incarnate as a woman or as a male, then you activate certain separate selves, and probably I'm not sure about that, but you're not. It's not meant to be that you overcome those separate selves. I think maybe they are the separate selves you need to stay in embodiment. But I see it as like beings inside of me, because from the conscious use perspective, is we are awareness. We are just a kind of a witness. So everything that happens, everything that you feel happening inside of you, as a result of a situation you are in, is coming from something else. And then, but it's really difficult to identify it. And for me, it is. I think that the most helpful is to be still and not really think about it that much, but it's really stepping back and find stillness. And also, I also asking the masters to help, because in the end, the main law is free will, and so you have to ask the masters, you have to invite them to help you see something. So yeah, that's how I see it. And I also differentiate between, I think, separate selves that are based on illusion, based on how you see reality. So you have a certain belief about life or about yourself. But there are also other selves that are more, yeah, more in the emotional body, I would say. I have it, for example, at work with especially leaders or managers, that I can have a certain strong reaction, and it is an emotional reaction. It's not really. I don't think it has an illusion. Maybe it has, but I haven't discovered it yet. But it feels more like a rough emotion, a strong feeling of want to rebel or want to prove them wrong or want to. And yes, those are more emotionally separate selves. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so, like with that, so like, see, like when that happens with me, I sort of become like a detective. I realize all this a separate self in me because I'm having a strong
Hmm.
emotional reaction to people. And that's when I turn it over to the masters and really devote myself to, right, well, let's get to the core of it, and find out what the belief is behind this, until eventually you can get to the point where you can see it, and that's when you can let it die and you can make a higher choice to choose. There's even
Yeah.
like steps in between of making a higher choice, even like, when you feel that reaction, just choosing to not follow through on the reaction is transcending in itself. um yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also can give a very simple example of a separate self I used to have, and I think that was the most specific that I really felt transcending or letting go, and it relates to sleep. So I always had difficulties falling asleep up until I think last year. And when I went to bed, I had this feeling of of restlessness, of and kind of a monkey mind. Not really, but it was a feeling of restlessness. And it was a certain night that I was really done with it. I said I had this firm will that I said enough. I'm done with this. I just want to sleep normally. Why can I not sleep normal? So, and that was really the first night that I slept normal. So it was kind of gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and it was a certain state of mind that I dragged it with me every night. Like every night, I was looking up to going to bed and staying awake for at least 1 or 2 hours. And it was that bad that I also had insomnia 5 or 10 years ago, that I couldn't sleep the whole night
Yeah.
and still had difficulties the next day. But there was that night that I went to bed, and I really had that will of it's enough now. And yes, and I felt it really, really going. So, and I was surprised by it. I was very surprised by it.
So you didn't even have to go into some sort of analysis over it. It was just like,
No,
that's it, I'm done. Like,
it was a decision. It felt like a decision. Like, okay, enough now. Just leave me alone. Go. So, and that is how it works with that separate self. But if you go to the primal self, it's a lot more difficult. So I see kind of aspects of it. I see parts of it, but it's not that easy. So it's not that easy to get to the core and overcome it.
yeah, yeah. So where are you at with the primal self? Like, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think I have bits and pieces of the primal self, and I've been working on it like for I think at least 2 or 3 years now. And um, yeah, but it's difficult to get to the core, but it relates. I think to justice. There's does in a way that I get triggered when there is injustice,
Mm-hmm.
and I have yes, and I have a belief about that. I think I believe that things should be just,
Yep.
but it's not. That's not in accordance with the law of free will, right? Because people choose to be in a certain state of consciousness, and both the people that do the injustice and the people that the victims, put it that way. So both are in a certain state of consciousness, and I think it's a choice, and it's what they need to figure out free will, the experience they need. But I have a strong belief about that. Yes, and it also relates to yes, to fallen beings, not, or at least people with narcissists, I would say.
Yep.
Yes, and what I feel is I attract a lot of narcissists, or at least people with narcissistic traits, but it all relates to people in authority and injustice, and that.
Yeah.
I want to punish them. I want to be right. I want to be able to explain to them that what they are doing is wrong. And for me, it gets really difficult to, the pain is that I can't get my point across and see that what they are doing is wrong. So it relates to that, but I haven't figured it out yet fully.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're almost describing like what went on for me. It was pretty much the same thing, attracting in narcissists and fallen beings, and this sense of like they just do things that were just so wrong, and
Exactly.
I feel so frustrated with it. And I didn't necessarily want to make them know that they were wrong, but I wanted to save them. That was probably the only difference there. But for me, it just came down to like really in the end was just finding that point of just going, you know what, like they have the free will to do whatever they want, and it's not my role to fix that or change them. And they, they have the right to not learn their lesson for as long as they want, like, and just let it be. And yeah, it's a big sort of relief once letting go of
Yes.
that.
Yes. I'm also aware that the challenge for me is to let it go. Just let it go, and that's the difficult part, because even when I think I have released that attachment, I still get into situations that I'm really triggered. But the difference with a few years ago is that I'm not going into a reactionary pattern anymore, so I just experience what I am experiencing, and that's it. And but indeed, it is, in the end, I want to let it go. The attachment to let the fallen beings see, or people with narcissistic personality disorder, to let them see that what they are doing is wrong in the first place, because it's not wrong. It's just a choice they have made.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's allowed for them to make that choice. But for me, it also relates to people that I might be able to describe as the downtrodden. So
Yeah.
I also attract a lot of people that have difficulties in life, and I want to help them. And especially, I also have it in my family. And what I want to do as a person is I want to take away the consequences of their limited choices. So, for example, if someone is not taking care of himself well, physically or financially, or making bad choices with regard to relationships, I want to take away the pain, the consequences. Well, there's also part of free will. I have to allow them to go through the consequences if they are there.
Yeah. And let them receive their own karma, because you're doing them no service trying to take on board someone else's karma.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that I have certain people in my life that are close to me, and I really care about them. And but they are in a certain at a certain level of consciousness. For example, my sister. Sister, she is deaf. She cannot hear, and she cannot work. So she has some benefit from the government, and but she makes really bad choices in the sense of going with extremely abusive men, or well, not taking care of herself physically, and I want to take away the consequences of the choices that she made. So I don't want her to be in pain, and I also want to like raise her up, like also with her house financially, or while other people don't even care. So they are like, well, that's just your life, and if you're safe, that's enough.
Mm, mm,
And I want to. It feels. I can feel a pain there. That I want to help those people, but that's also an attachment.
mm, mm.
Is how I come to. That is how I've come to see it after following the teachings now for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Because the only way we're ever going to learn our lessons, like we can take on board everyone else's pain and problems, but they're
Yeah.
going to be able to fix it when they go into it themselves,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It is hard to watch others we love like doing that.
Exactly. But what the thing is then for me is if I think about it, then the thought comes that what am I here to do then? You know, like, and then that's I think where I uh, kind of connect to my original birth trauma, or because if you take that away, like helping the people that are suffering and wanting to prove the fallen beings wrong or let them see what they are doing, so holding them responsible. Yes, if that falls away, then I'm like, okay, what is my life about then?
Yeah, well, yeah. To me,
That,
it's just about this. Like,
of course, yeah. It's also an illusion, but that's also a pain. Yeah,
mm, yeah, I know.
yeah,
It's such an enigma being here on Earth, isn't it?
yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah,
it makes more sense to me that like this is this schoolroom, this reality simulator where we can come in and we can just play around with it and experience, like working through, looking through these lenses of separate selves and eventually, beginning to see what we feel sense to be more the truth. And for me, it's more like, I'm just following that, just that sense of emptiness and not having anything blocking the flow of light through me.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, so we've sort of just gone into this big thing talking about separate cells, and I wouldn't mind just hearing a little bit about, like, if you could just share with us a bit about your spiritual journey, just a key
yeah,
turn
of course.
point of view of.
Yeah. My spiritual journey. I will start from the beginning. I was born in Morocco,
Mm-hmm,
and at the age of 3, I moved to the Netherlands. My father was already living here, and so I moved with my brother, two brothers and sister. And well, my family is a very Islamic family.
mm-hmm,
They are very religious, and so I grew up there in a very religious environment. I also like went to the mosque, had to recite the Quran, etc. And up until the age of 18, and then I left. I left to university, so and I never came back actually. So yeah, yeah, yeah. And about my spiritual journey, so I was very much into Islam, and I am also homosexual, so I also had difficulties with that at that age. And so I was really looking for answers, really looking for answers. And it started with self-help books. I think it went from just very regular self-help to, I think, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, about changing your state of mind. And that's one the belief when I came to see that there is much more to life. So that it's not only like what you do physically, but also what you believe, what your state of mind is. And yeah, and I went from I think Napoleon Hill to yeah a lot of other authors or teachers. Um, I think that the main one to name is Abraham Hicks.
Yeah.
Abraham Hicks for a while. That also helped me, but I felt it not really going to the core of
Mm.
self-healing and really transcending yourself. And there was a certain day that I wanted to understand. So I wanted to understand the Prophet Muhammad. So I was reading about his life and what drove him, and about homosexuality. I also read about it because I had the idea that my intention is good. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm not here to cause any pain. So why would I be a bad person? Because I felt very squeezed by religion, also a little bit squeezed by society, and I was looking for answers. Like, is it okay to be homosexual? Is it okay to ask questions about the Islam? And that was a really difficult part, and I think that was maybe the lowest part of my whole journey up until now. So I was really depressed. I was really looking for answers. I was really stuck. I had difficulties with life in general. Staying in a certain job or maintaining relationships with people, with friends, it was all very difficult for me. And I also had a bad relationship with my family. Not bad in the sense that we were fighting, but there was just no real connection. Although my parents are really sweet people, but they are very attached to religion. So that's the most important for them up until this day. So, and just one day I want to understand Muhammad, and I found an answer about Muhammad on the uh, Ask Real Jesus, or I think it was the Q&A website.
Yeah.
And yes, and that really that was from that moment I have never left the teachings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
because
it, isn't it? It's like, how we search, like we're true seekers, and then every single one of us who is a part of this community is like, once we find the teachings, it's like, that's it. That's what I was looking for
yeah,
all this time. Like, it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I really it was an explosion for me. I remember that day up until now. So I went to work. I had some job, and I came back and I started reading again. I was like, wow, and it made sense. So it made sense to me. It made
Yeah.
sense to me, and yeah, you could feel like that it made sense, but also an acceptance, a love, but also a little bit of toughness, directly, because reality, is not feel good spirituality or. Um,
Because it's funny, it's like, because I had the homosexual identity also,
mhm.
and that's what took me to the teachings was, I keyed into good old Google, like, because I just began to question this identity. Like, there's something in me. It was like, why am I even holding an identity? Like, it doesn't feel right, like, to hang on to an identity. So I keyed it into Google, something like spirituality and homosexuality, and ended up, I think it was a Q&A, foundational teachings about homosexuality. And I remember I read it, and it was like, I knew it was Jesus, and I knew it was just, this is the truth. And it had the love, the absolute love for me no matter what, but it had some really hard hitting truths in there, which I remember at the time I could feel myself reacting, but I was also knowing, though, but like, this is the truth. Like, I just, no matter how
Yeah,
much of a reaction it was stirring up, and I felt like my questions were answered. Like, it got me on that path to make sense of where that discomfort was coming from, how I couldn't quite balance it. And yeah, now I just call myself no identity, like, yeah, nothing, but it's kind of irrelevant, really. Like,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's indeed the same for me. Yeah. So I I think up until that point I couldn't really I really rejected myself. So
Mm,
I thought I was wrong in all kind of ways. So I was so different in many ways. and the homosexuality made it even worse. So I felt really like not fitting here, and um, yeah, and that was the first step to help me understand, really understand that it's the meaning behind it, um, and it was not until that first dictation from the first teaching from the My Life's book, Healing My Spiritual Traumas, from Mother Mary about loving yourself, that I really, really could like overcome that self-rejection and really accept that I am okay. I just have my psychology. And yes, like all other people have their psychology. Although I believe that avatars have a very complex psychology as have fallen beings. So
But yeah, the loving ourselves is like the most, it's just so key. And just
yeah,
for viewers, like, yeah, it's the first chapter in Healing Spiritual Traumas book, and it's Can You Love Yourself, Mother Mary. And if you're
yeah,
ever feeling low or whatever, just go to that teaching and you'll feel so
yeah,
much better. Like, yeah, you know you're loved. And yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. For me, that was a key turning point because I finished the university and then I went to work, and it took a long time for me to finish university because I really took some years off and searching and also like participating in life, and and it was my second job, and I couldn't really like hold on to a job. And with my second job, I left again, and I didn't work for 1 year and 4 months, and it was during COVID a few years ago. And during that period, I think that first dictation, first teaching about self-love, about accepting yourself, really, really like put me on another level, because I let that go, like that self-rejection, because I always had this feeling that I was not okay. I was not welcome. I was not acceptable. I was so different. I was, and that I really transcended it. I let that go. So that was a key turning point with that.
so can you love yourself?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
don't feel.
how does that translate into your, your day-to-day relationships, like that you can love yourself?
For example, if I had a difficult situation with work, I used to always think that I am the one who is wrong. I am the one who is failing here. It's because I am difficult, or I am not good with people, and I don't have that anymore. So I could like put my own boundaries, express myself better, and not put myself down. So I don't do that anymore.
Mm,
And I just don't have that feeling because I can remember even writing when I was 22 or 23 that I was very depressed. I wrote, "I hate you." I
mm,
could say that to myself. Like those were very deep negative feelings about myself, and I don't have it. Uh, I have respect for other people and also have respect for myself. So I'm not. I can say no. I can express what I want, and I think that is the main change. I can ask for what I want, and that
so
was.
do you feel like when you're talking about loving yourself, and you started off also talking about how you attracted in narcissistic type personalities, do you feel as much of a drawing anymore in like wanting love from them at all, like people who have that mindset, or did you used to, or it's a strange way of asking a question.
I'm not sure if I understood the question well, but I've never wanted a love from them, but
Like, right.
there was a certain way of wanting to please them. But for me, it related more to injustice. I want to let them know that what they are doing was wrong. So, but
Yeah,
I always ended
probably
up.
my own thing. I was sort of like looking for the love. I wanted
Okay.
to give those sort of personality types lots and lots of love, and
Okay.
thinking that, the abundance of love coming from me, like it should mean it should be coming back. Like it was just my logic was, yeah, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it's about just finding that, the source of love that I was looking for all that time. It's already running through me anyway. It's something you can't actually get. It's just there. Love just flowing
Yeah. Indeed.
through.
Indeed. Yeah. I've had it with the rosaries, especially not. I had it with the rosaries that I could really feel. You can really feel it in your heart. You can really feel the yeah, it's a high vibrational feeling of love, I
Mm.
would say, or tenderness, acceptance. Yes. And before that, I never felt that. I could never feel that. I was always tense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it, that as you start applying all the tools that we're given, which I think what's unique about the Ascended Master teachings that is a part of our connection is the invocations and the rosaries and the decrees that we are using the
Yeah.
spoken to invoke light and to invite the masters in for their support. And I remember when I started, I was a bit resistant with that. It just felt like, why should I be doing that? And it felt like it was too much of my time. But yeah, and once you start doing it, like, yeah, the rewards, and it does, you can totally just take yourself from the lowest point to the highest point within the space of half an hour or an hour with the
Yeah.
invocations, rosaries.
Yeah, definitely. That was also a key turning point for me. So
Mm,
I think I was 27 when I found the teachings, and
mm,
maybe for the first year I was just only reading and reading, and it took a while for me to apply the teachings. Maybe 2 years, or I think it started with attending the conferences. So I attended the conference in Holland, the first conference, and also all the other conferences, and that really put me on, helped me apply the invocations and the decrees, etc. And that really transformed my energy field, because up until a point I had always this nagging feeling in my stomach, which I think was my solar plexus chakra, and I had very bad feelings in me, which are, I think, just energies. And with applying the teachings for a longer period of time, just became lighter. And
mm,
yes, you can really feel that. That really transformed my life. Just even without working on psychology, it was just the energy. I went from very uh, tense and dense energies accumulated, I think, from previous lifetimes. But yeah, and I became more lighter. I was, yeah, I could, I had more clarity in my mind, and so that definitely really helped. Yes.
mm. Yeah, like I it's not until like looking back that I'm able to see like how many dense energies I was carrying, and also there was a lot of leakage as well. Like I think there were a lot of hooks in my auric field. The entities had a way in, and they were draining that light. But yeah, the invoking the light that heals up all of those holes and gaps in the auric field and gets you back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's about time right now. So I think I'll say thank you to you, Noah, and it's been really lovely to just spend a bit of time talking with you today. And it was just good to go more deeply into like just talking about the separate selves and everything. That sort of worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It went by very quick. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny, like the time does, it just slips by very, very quickly. So
I
yeah.
thought we were still with the introduction.
We went all backwards. That was the thing. Like, yeah, we just went straight into talking about, yeah, my questions went out the window. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very- yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And
So,
all right. And goodbye to our viewers. So,
goodbye.
bye.
Bye.